Middlecoff!
Hey, behave. We live?
We are up. What's up, everybody? NFL free agency, 1:00 Pacific. I'm glad everybody waited, John. All the teams waited until 1:00 Pacific on March 18th.
It reminds me of the quarantine. It's like quarantine. Everyone's acts like they're quarantined, but they're not actually quarantining. I saw Ryan Clark tweet a couple days ago. He had a great point. What the hell is the point of this moratorium if fucking deals are just coming left? Like, just start free agency, right? Just start it. Just start it.
But no matter when you start it, there will always be somebody who starts early. So the only way is if it's always free agency. That'd be the only way to avoid this.
True.
No matter where you move the line, somebody will try and jump to the front of the line.
Would you be opposed to that?
Yes. Yeah. Because I think we need a little time off to get a little time on. I mean, hell, day 6. Wait, welcome to day 6 without sports, John. We have sports talk. We don't actually have sports. But how you doing over there? You holding up okay?
Yeah, quarantined. Haven't went to my little gym. Actually, another guy walked in. We kind of gave each other a look. We actually became friends. Guy in the other side of my condo complex. Never met. Pretty impressive guy. But he did drop the line of he got wind that little facility. I mean, it's got 2 treadmills and some weights. Might shut down. And I said, well, how are they going to shut it down?
Yeah.
Put a padlock on it? And he's like, hey, he didn't know for sure, but they don't want to be spreading sweat. Like, what are they trying to kill us? You know, we gotta keep moving.
I know.
I don't know. So it's just, just every day we get a new pitch. It's like the gyro ball. You got no clue where it's going. You just hope to make contact. Not contact with the corona, but just my analogy. You try to avoid the corona.
They could have security there, you think?
I went out to grab something out of my car this morning, and as I was coming back in, a guy was walking out, and he saw me getting close to the door because it's a hard door, but it has a little window so you could see a person. He did like a Deion Sanders backpedal, like 7 yards to the other door. It's like, God, Corona's got everyone spooked. Which again, and he had a paper towel in his hand, so
You're
he didn't have
instead of opening the door for you?
Did not. Nope.
Oh. I mean, to me, you can pop it, kick it, and then bail, backpedal, then turn your hips. Press bail, John. It's press bail.
He did a full-on bail technique. Like, you're afraid Tyreek's going to run the go route. He just took off. And then I saw he had a paper towel in his hand. So the next time I went downstairs, paper towel in my hand. Yeah. Kind of smart move.
I've been using a paper towel to open doors for, not going to lie, several days now.
Yeah.
John,
where do you throw the paper towel, though?
I fold it and then put it in my pocket. With the disease side in.
Oh my God! So you're just carrying around Corona in your back pocket.
Potentially, but it's diseased in. NFL
it's
free agency.
It's an airborne disease,
John.
guy. We got it. I don't know if you can do that.
NFL free agency has begun, Middlecoff. It is here in the age of COVID-19. It's the only thing that's still happening in sports. And I think one of the interesting things, we've been talking about this, there's been breaking news today. I don't know, is there going to be any breaking news left? It feels like the breaking news has happened, but, things like Nick Foles, which we'll get to. But the Brady news is obviously the biggest. We went live yesterday. Subscribe to this channel. We'll have more videos here. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the podcast. Share it with your friends. Middlecoff has set the bold goal of 1,000 subscribers by April, right? By April 1st?
April 1st, yep.
So let's see if we can do that. How about this Antonio Brown? I think it was Rap Sheet. I'll put up Rap Sheet's tweet from early this morning, John. As Tom Pelissero and I discussed on TV, the word among teams interested in Brady was that they're under the impression Brady wanted to bring Antonio Brown with him. Brown still under investigation. I can't even remember which things for. Remains to be seen whether he can play, but Brady is close with him. How close is Brady with him?
Well, I think Brady, who has been limited by his weapons in New England, it's like, can you just get me a star wide receiver? And Belichick would go, yeah, I'll get you Chris Hogan. Can you Gronk retired? Can we get a sweet tight end? Yeah, I'll lowball Jared Cook. Like, hey, Bill, can you get me some fucking help? And then because he burned his feet off, Mayock hated him, and he put Gruden on blast on YouTube, he became a free agent. Brady had him for a week. Let's not forget, I don't have the box score in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it was like 5 for 55 and a touchdown. Remember that little back shoulder
I
against the
do, of
Dolphins?
course.
So I wrote down some numbers here, guy.
All right.
Chris Godwin last year, 86 catches, 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns, 14 games. Mike Evans, 13 games, 67 catches, over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. They combined for about 17 touchdowns. They're an elite combo. You could argue they're probably the top 2 or 3 combo in the NFL. Mike Evans by himself is a star. I think Chris Godwin kind of threw his hat in the ring last year. Like, I'm a big boy player. You add Antonio Brown to that mix.
Plus, I would say 2 tight ends, right? I mean, they're not.
I did see that Cameron Brate, I remember reading like a month ago, depending on what they did, might have to get cut just to clear up space. Again, I haven't seen that happen yet, but they might get rid of him to keep OJ, just for money.
Okay.
But regardless, you bring Antonio Brown, who is a nut job, but is by far of all the nut jobs, he's easily the best nut job in the history of the league. I mean, he had the greatest 6-year run in the history of the NFL. And Tom likes him. So yeah, it's weird. But if Tom's signing off on him, I'm sorry. I'm listening to Tom fucking Brady. And I'm signing Antonio Brown. Once upon a time, Bruce Arians signed Honey Badger when no one wanted to touch him. So why? Because Patrick Peterson was boys with Honey Badger.
Now you're like Bill O'Brien. Comparing 2 things that aren't comparable.
I'm just saying, guy, you find me a better offense skill-wise in NFL history.
He had 7 scandals in one game.
Again, if Tom wants him, I'm taking him.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be kind of open to it, but it's like, how many times can you trick somebody into believing in you before we stop getting tricked into believing in you, especially when their team is good offensively, their coach is good offensively, their talent is good offensively. Like, I hate to say this because you can always use great players. If he was just great, you would obviously use him, but now you could argue they could just treat him like the Patriots did, right? Tom saw it firsthand. The second he was trouble, whoop, gone.
He would get 0 guaranteed money, and he would be on a day-to-day basis. Because like you said, usually great players, they're great. You have no problem with them. Guy, if he was not an issue, he'd still be on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So there's a reason he's at where he's at because of the last, 14, 15 months. The only reason this is even a discussion is because of Tom. So once you sign Tom, it's Tom Brady, who's never really had any juice in the organization. Now he's had juice like play calling and putting the game plan together. But has Bill Belichick ever made a personnel move on Tom really wanted to do this? It's not really the way they've operated. I think they're going to listen to him. Why wouldn't they? They're all in. All their chips are in the middle of the table with Tom, keeping Tom happy. I think he's a buck.
Well, I mean, it's the only place he would be. He's either unemployed or a buck.
Which could be pretty scary, though, if it works out. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, it's
he's
capital I,
better
capital
than
I,
those 2 guys.
capital F, capital if, but yeah.
Big if.
And getting him for 5 games is different than getting him for 16 games. I mean, provided I don't even know if there's going to be 16 games, but I don't know, man. How many times can this guy suck people in? And also, I love, again, I'll say it again, how close are they?
Again, okay. I had forgotten about him. I'm not just bringing up this guy haphazardly. I think it's pretty clear, though, the way they've have you noticed they've interacted with each other back and forth on social media? I mean, it's not – I think there's substance
Brady told
behind.
him, I'm leaving. Stay on your best behavior. I will try to bring you wherever I go.
Do you think that's before he started screaming at his wife with the police and all the kids outside? Or that's probably
John,
after?
Even if you want him and sign him, I'm not sure that you're getting him on a football field. But did you see this stat? This is kind of crazy to me. And this is not AB related. This is more Tom related. And we'll get to Jameis. But I was looking at football. You said something to me earlier about Jameis. And so I went to the Football Outsiders page just to look up average starting field position for defense last year. The Bucks defense had the worst average starting field position in the NFL last year. On defense, on average, they started on the 32-yard line.
Why do you think that is?
The New England Patriots had the best defensive starting field position last year. On average, they started on the 25-yard line.
But when you factor that in, is that kickoff return or is that just in general?
I think it's interceptions. I
Yeah,
think it's
big
Jameis
time.
picks.
I heard a stat this morning that in 7 of their 9 losses, he threw 18 picks. So basically,
Wow.
in every loss, he's averaging over 2 picks a game. For a team that went 7-9, I would imagine if we ran a study, the quarterbacks that have thrown 27 plus picks, because there were only a small percentage of guys, right? They were at 30, maybe 25 plus picks in NFL history. Have they ever won more than 5 games? Usually they are a train wreck, right? Guys that have
what was Favre's season high?
probably 25 or 26, I would guess. 25 guy is a shitload. I mean, Rivers last year was 20.
So the high for Favre was 29 in 2005.
What was their record?
4-12.
I just don't think you can win turning the ball over at that rate. And Brady is not. Wouldn't you say Brady's not a turnover guy? I mean, he just doesn't throw picks. It's honestly
I would say Brady's not a turnover guy.
I'd say in NFL history, he's the guy. Him and Rodgers, when they do throw a pick, you're like, whoa. They go 3 and out and stuff, but they don't throw interceptions.
Yeah, I just threw Brady's stats up. I do wonder, like, how does that meld with, you got to risk it for the biscuit, Kangol King, Bruce Arians.
Well, you want some tweets to throw up there, guy?
Mm-hmm.
Mike Silver had a good thread on. He talked to Bruce Arians, and he asked him that. He said 2 things. The first question was, what about the verbiage? And Arians' response was actually pretty interesting. He responds like this. He goes, well, Tom's clearly going to be comfortable with something, but I got 20 guys that might not all be on the same football IQ level as him. So ultimately, probably meet somewhere in the middle. And then he asked about the 7-step drops and throwing bombs. And he said, I've coached Roethlisberger and Peyton Manning. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like I don't ask my guys to do, because like Carson Balmer throwing bombs. Well, Carson's got a big arm. What would you say Jameis' best attribute is? Not like outthinking you. It's just letting it rip.
But
he coached Luck fine.
Jameis had the most pass attempts this year, but I saw Doug Farrar had a stat this morning that Jameis also was like his average time in pocket was 11th in the league. Like,
so he was getting rid of the ball relatively quick.
So they're also getting rid of the ball quickly, yeah. So I actually think we'll do another video. I want to do a video, John, on Brady versus like the end of Montana's career and kind of who's set up to have – is Brady set up to have a better finish than Montana? But
wouldn't you say –
I'm with you. I think he's set up pretty well.
What I think most of in baseball is a little different, but in basketball and football, I could give Belichick Tom Brady to Lamar Jackson, just like I could give Pat Riley or Phil Jackson Steph Curry or Michael Jordan or fucking Shaq, and they'd figure it out. Like, I could give you Lawrence Taylor, or I can give you a star nose tackle. Like that's what a great coach is when you're kind of in football probably more because you're actually calling a play. But in basketball, historically, guys have had certain systems, and you can meld it, mesh them. That's why I think Phil got crushed at the end, right? It's like, Phil, the triangle doesn't have, like the last couple of years at Knicks, like it's time to move on. And sometimes football coaches is like, guys, we can't keep running the fucking power. We need to spread the offense out. I just think Bruce Arians, and you and I had a pretty close, we did a radio show about the 49ers, and the Arizona Cardinals were a big part of the teams that were playing for about 3 or 4 years with him. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. Now, he does have a specific style, like what he truly likes to do. But I think what makes him, why I'd bet on him, I don't think he's dumb when it comes to,
Yeah.
I think he gets that part that I gotta adapt.
In that Farrar article, one thing was that he had some quotes from Carson Palmer from a few years ago talking about like what's his best attribute. And he said, well, one of his best attributes is just his feel for play calling, just his timing, how to know when to take a shot, when to throw a screen. Like, he's just really bright. It's not he's got a system that's really good. It's his feel, and I think him and Tom will take advantage of it. Let's talk about, you mentioned Bill. One other thing, John. Here's a little nugget for the day. Do you know what Brett Favre's middle name is?
Uh,
Lorenzo.
Brett Lorenzo Favre.
Correct. All right. Right now, March 18th. Hell, this could change in the next hour or 10 minutes. Who starts the first Patriots game of the year? A rookie quarterback? A quarterback currently on Bill's roster, i.e. Jarrett Stidham? Or a quarterback that's currently on another team / a free agent?
Betting man, I'd now, like you said, this could change but even if they got like Dalton right now, that wouldn't guarantee him be the starter. I would say the safe bet would be Stidham. Stidham? Is that how you say it?
Stidham.
Stidham?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stidham.
Yeah.
Because he's not an undrafted free agent, right? They did use a 4th-round pick on him.
And I think what we've seen with him historically, guys, he drafts and keeps around play.
And wouldn't you factor in this year, no OTAs? That's going to be work to his benefit.
It'll also, is Brian Hoyer currently on the team? Is he on that team?
No, he's the backup for the Colts. Now, if I told you they trade for Jacoby Brissett in the next 48 hours.
The Patriots? Interesting.
Yeah. The one thing I read, maybe Albert Breer wrote this, I can't remember, but they could not run RPOs with with Brady. They couldn't do any movement stuff, right? They weren't doing roll him out, like plays you can run with Sam Darnold or Josh Allen, just a fast rollout, just get him on the move. And Belichick's kind of been intrigued by that. Well, why do you think he liked Jimmy Garoppolo? Because Jimmy was a pretty good athlete. The playbook opened up. And that's where I go back to Jacoby. I bet Bill really likes Jacoby and thinks he's an impressive guy because he's a high-character guy, smart. But he's not a great athlete.
No.
So I wonder if Bill's doesn't touch him in the sense that Stidham's more of an athlete, right? He's more of a mover, if I can remember correctly. I'd have to look up what his athletic testing numbers were. But I think I think he was I didn't even get close to spelling his name right.
Stidham, maybe?
So their offense might
Yeah,
look kind of dramatically different.
I think they start with him and then kind of move from there.
So like Stidham's numbers at the combine, he's not a great athlete, 4'8", 31 vertical, but I just remember him at Auburn just being able to move a little bit, where Tom and Rivers are on the low end.
How about Cam? There was a report, I think Florio, that the Chargers were interested in Cam. That doesn't seem like it's happening, and he's kind of he's stuck because people are going to want to check him out physically, and they can't do that right now. Why not Cam in the Patriots? With no promises, like Cam's going to be in a position, John, where he's not really, whenever it happens, I don't know that he'll have much leverage left if he has any to begin with, just because he might be the last guy to sign given the teams are going to want to physically check him out. I mean, put it this way, if Bill has ever at any point been intrigued by Cam, then I think there's a chance, even if right now he doesn't know what Cam is or if Cam can really play, if he at any point has been intrigued by him, I think there's a chance then that he would sign him. The question is, would Bill have at any point been intrigued by Cam? Given all the stuff you're saying, though.
I would say at 31 years old, he's been banged up. So if you wanted to get movement stuff, one, you have to get him physical, and you don't have really access to that right now.
Right. In
a perfect world, if he was completely healthy, I think there would be legitimate interest in him. I think his unknown leans negative. I just think he's a great unknown right now. Now, the one thing we know about Bill, if you said, Bill, you can get him right now for 1 year, $7.5 million. If you just saw something like that, I'd be like, okay, I can see that. But if I tell you Cam wants 1 year, even a prove it deal, $20 million, like, yeah, I don't see Bill fucking with that. To me, the price point, Bill will try anyone out.
They don't have much flexibility, the Patriots.
No. But, and I how much does the no OTAs factor in for New England. I mean, they've been notorious running the most complicated system. Look at all the guys they brought back. Slater, who's the only special teams guy in league history that brings up the group. The McCourty twins, just geniuses. They just got a bunch of smart players that I don't know, man. I think it complicates matters for Bill. Now, like Arians, on a much higher level, guy's a genius, man. If he has to make it less complicated, I bet a point of difference for Belichick will be early in the season next year. He'll just be nuts and bolts. You know, he's not going to he'll run the same plays over and over. Like, we're just going to practice something in training camp. Know we can do 3 or 4 things well. While everyone else is like installing the state of California. It's like, no, we're going to run like 10 plays and we're going to do them well. And we'll build as the season goes on. But we're not, I bet if you told me, remember when Steve Kerr started with the Warriors and they were like running bounce pass drills and Iguodala I was like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy?
First practice.
If you told me that Belichick worked on like offensive lineman stances, like the first 2 days of training, just things that are just like, what's he doing? I'm telling you, I think Belichick just has pitches in his back pocket and just will think about things in a way that most coaches will be like, we got to get these guys information overload. And guys are like, Jesus Christ, I've been quarantined for 3 months and you're asking me to learn Bill Walsh's playbook.
Our comments, we haven't really addressed the comment section, but keep leaving us live comments, says Chris Harris has signed with the Chargers, which I checked and is true. I think Schefter, rap sheet, Chris Harris to the Chargers.
They got good players, guy. No quarterback, but good players.
But the fact that they're out on all these free agent guys says they've got to be pretty locked in at taking a quarterback now at 6. The question's going to be, does everybody so aware that the Chargers are taking a quarterback that somebody jumps ahead of them or tries to jump ahead of them?
Why don't they jump ahead?
Yeah, they might have to move up.
What would it cost them to get from 5, 6 to 2? Well, it cost the Jets a couple years ago 3 second-rounders. Would you pay 2 second-rounders to go from 2 to 6?
Well, who do you want?
I mean, Tua or Herbert.
Yeah, I'm just saying if you want Herbert, you might not have to go to 2. But I think they're kind of in a desperate position, right? And that they're the other team in LA. They cannot afford to not get a quarterback in this draft. So, yeah, I think they would do whatever it took.
What if you don't like any of the quarterbacks?
Well, then you should sign a free agent quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you might have the chance. Like, I don't think Cam's going anywhere, right? He's like, well, right. One, Cam's still on the goddamn team.
You're saying you could make that decision in 2 months when coronavirus allows for free agent physicals?
Well, Carolina, what are we doing here? Can we make the man free or just say he's your starting quarterback?
Yeah, what are they going to get for him? So Foles got traded.
Wait, do you think Cam gets traded? Because I think they just end up cutting him.
No, I think he gets cutted. I think it's cutted.
I think it's cutted too.
So yesterday, John, I tweeted a picture of your boy Matt Nagy and a little thinking emoji. This was yesterday, and it was during an Eagles Bears game, and people tweeted to me, "What are you hinting at?" It was super opaque. I felt like a real NBA player tweeting that graphic yesterday, and today it happened. Nick
really
Foles
quick,
got traded to the Bears.
I got to read this tweet, or maybe you can put it up. Look at Manish Mehta's last tweet. We'll get to that after this.
Okay,
it's good. It's a good one.
All right.
I was just thinking, why wouldn't the Bears have wanted Cam, for example? Because you'd say Cam is better than Foles if you were just trying to win for a season. The one thing Foles does for the Bears is it enables them, especially with OTAs being wiped out, is Mitch can just be the starter. He can be the backup or / just kind of compete. But it's not as much, despite being a Super Bowl winner a couple years ago, it's not like you just signed a top 10 quarterback. If you did sign Cam Newton or trade, let's say, less for Cam than you had to trade, because what did they trade? A conditional 4th for Foles?
Yeah.
Let's say you could trade a conditional 6 for Cam. The moment you get Cam, no one goes, well, there's a quarterback competition. No, it's just Cam would be your starter, right? Like you couldn't, like Cam ain't taking backup reps with Mitch fucking Trubisky, where you could argue Foles shouldn't either, but Foles can and just act normal. Like, I wouldn't blame Cam. Like, if I was Cam, I couldn't even look at Mitch with a straight face. Be like, wait, I'm running with the 2s? wait, you want me to? I'll play with one leg, and if I was a Bears fan, you couldn't do it. Is it fair to say that the Cam wasn't an option when you factor in that whatever their GM still likes Mitch?
Yeah, I mean, to me, whoever they signed, they had to be confident in one of two things. Either he wasn't as good as Mitchell or he's better than Mitchell.
But he
And
could also go back and forth with being a backup and a starter, which Nick's the great one at that,
yeah,
right?
but I do think they think I think he's better
Why?
than Mitchell Trubisky.
So do you think that going into training camp, Nick Foles is running with the ones and Mitch is running with the twos?
I think maybe they split reps, but I don't think Mitchell's just the quarterback and Nick Foles is the backup. Now, I guess there's probably is Foles. I guess he's healthy enough.
Could you do that with Cam and Mitch? You agree it's easier to do that with Foles and Mitch, even
Yeah,
though Nick has won a Super Bowl and
he has
Cam has.
asked repeatedly to be called Mitchell.
So
So
yeah, I think Foles was intriguing to them. Also the connection, right? I mean, Nagy's worked with him multiple
yeah.
places. Flip was the quarterback coach when they won the Super Bowl. Flip was a big reason he made it to Jacksonville.
What
There's,
what
would you
I'd
say
heard, John, what I'd
all
heard
this?
is that the Colts had tried to trade for Nick Foles, but the Jags wanted more from them because they're in the division.
You
So
think you think that they would have taken Nick Foles and then not messed with Phillip Rivers and just gone with Foles and Jacoby?
uh, I think they might have.
Well, that brings up a good point because I think Rap Sheet or Garofolo or those guys were saying the one thing on Phillip Rivers why it didn't happen like Tannehill right at 12, right when you could kind of start signing guys, is Ballard is a due diligence guy. He's like, well, can we get anyone for cheaper? Are we going to give Phillip Rivers coming off the worst year of his career $25 million when he may be shot? You're right. I think that because then they could keep Jacoby and Foles. Now it's like you're not keeping Rivers at 25 and Jacoby at 15, right? Jacoby's going to get traded.
All right, John, I have your Manish Mehta tweet. This is from moments ago. It's up now. Interesting subplot. See what? And now I'm going to have to read this.
Read it, hater.
Hater. Interesting subplot. Chris Harris has turned down an opportunity to play for the Raiders. I'm told that he was not interested in playing for them.
Yeah. So they've had, I was told that they offered more money for Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward ended up on the 49ers.
Okay.
They clearly want Chris Harris because why wouldn't you? He's a really good player. And he didn't want to play for him.
Hater.
They wanted Byron Jones, who ended up going to the Dolphins. And a big reason I read was because the Dolphins gave him $40 million true dollars in the first 2 years. Hashtag cash is king. Who doesn't have that much cash? Mark Davis. So we'll see. I mean, this is why they're moving, but it's still impacting them right now. Money, this no income tax. Guys with options, guys want to win. And right now, the Raiders, they've made the playoffs one time in 17 years. They lost down the stretch to the Jags and the Jets. Like I think a lot of people think the Raider fans think they're better than they are and they're like equipped. They still have a bottom third roster.
Yeah,
They still have
I will say this if I'm going to add something to this, which is that I do think they've just added solid football players here in the last 24 hours, right? They've got
I'm not
on a defense that needed just more solid football players.
the hater. Listen, I am not saying that they are the Browns right now. They haven't. I think Mike Mayock's really good, but this notion that they're like super close, players don't think that, and people in the league don't think that. Now we'll see. Yeah, they had a very, very tough ending to their season after a little good, cute little stretch in October. You lost to the Jaguars at home, closing. We think. Well, luckily Nevada has no rules. I think the construction won't stop. But
no, construction's going. You sent me the
yeah, it won't stop.
The was it the Union head? Is that the guy who just went on TV last night? It was like, everybody. He said his words were, "Construction's a go." I talked to the governor. Construction's a go.
Yeah, construction's a go.
So stadium.
I think that was just like a local reporter, which I'm not.
No, the reporter was the one that tweeted it, but I think the guy that was talking was like the head of the union.
Maybe you're right.
Because he was talking into the camera to his people.
Corona be damned.
So, how about one thing I thought this was probably not the biggest free agency headline to this point, but Jane Slater tweeted earlier on Wednesday, John, the Cowboys have expressed interest in two-time Pro Bowler and former SMU wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders. Sanders. I'm just laughing because it's like
He's like 35, right?
I just love these former SMU as if he's been like in the XFL and the AAF and the Canadian League. But it's relevant just because he's local.
Yeah.
Sanders with the 49ers trains in Dallas in the offseason. He's equally interested in the Cowboys, I'm told. So if that happens, that just can we go ahead and pen Henry Ruggs in to the 49ers at 13?
Well, I never thought they were getting Emmanuel Sanders back, guy, because his price point, he's still good enough that someone could give him $6-7 million a year. And I think the Niners, while they really like him, they still got their number one wide receiver right now. Next year's going to be Deebo Samuel. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like the guy
And
they
George
believe
Kittle.
in
Yeah,
their
and they
roster.
got it's a unique
And they
dynamic because
got
they have
Kittle,
Kittle.
and they throw the ball to their running backs all the time. They throw the ball to Juszczyk. Kendrick Bourne is just a very, very solid dude that's playing on game day. And then I think they draft a guy. And to me, you can always sign like how'd they get Emmanuel Sanders? They traded for him. I think there's always kind of guys like him. Randall Cobb last year was cheap. You can just find guys like him for relatively cheap price points. Sometimes after the draft, right? Because a lot of times when there's a draft heavy on a position, a team goes, and this might screw Emmanuel a little bit, like, should I give him 6 or should I wait till after the draft and then maybe I can get him for 4? Right? Because he doesn't really know what he wants to do. I think there's just a lot of
Also,
uncertainty with
yeah.
older receivers.
I also think part of it is like, are they telling him like, look, we've got Dak on the tag right now, which the tag kind of changes depending on what's going on. Did you see what Florio wrote? Roethlisberger restructured, Cousins extended. It actually brought the cap
It
down.
cost Dak money, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're looking at whatever it is, 32 or 34 million dollars. If you're the Cowboys, as part of this, like Emmanuel, we like you, but if you wait, maybe if we sign Dak, it's not going to be $34 million this year against our cap, and then we'll have more room for you.
I thought it was like 27,
Yeah,
the
it's
number I saw.
27, but then it's between 27 and 32, depending on
Gotcha.
how things settle, I think.
Can you imagine if you're Dak, like worst case scenario, I got to play on the tag, and these motherfuckers restructure, and then I got to take a discount, something that had nothing to
I
do with
know.
me. But so
But
Cousins,
if you told me that Emmanuel Sanders is also going to play for the Cowboys, like Dak becomes more valuable. Like he has a better chance of earning his money if they've got Amari and like.
well, they had good wide receivers last year, guy. They had
I know.
Amari, they had Gallup, they had Randall Cobb,
But
who
he's
had
an
a
upgrade
productive
from
year.
Emmanuel Sanders is an upgrade from Randall Cobb.
Is it that? Like I think Randall Cobb gets disrespected a little bit on Twitter. Like he's solid.
I'm not disrespecting Randall Cobb. It's more that I loved
Yeah,
Emmanuel Sanders last
Emmanuel
year.
Sanders is better, but I don't think you're acting. Or just I think people would act like the gap's a little wider than it is. Like Cobb will give you 60 catches. What's Emmanuel going to give you? 80? Not on that team. Not with those two guys.
No. Yeah.
But he's good. He's good. He's good. In his peak, yes, I agree. Better than Cobb. Though Cobb is pretty good. But
PFT
I think that's kind of the group.
PFT commentator speaks for a generation, John. In the New York Post, I feel like I know my generation pretty well. This could be the challenge that we've been ready to accept, that we've been really been asked to take on, ready to take on. Just staying at home. We stay at home harder than any generation that has come before us, and I think we are the right ones that are meant to be put in that place at this point in history.
I think back in the day, when something like this happened in the 80s or 90s, you would just throw it up on TV, right? And everyone watches. It has never been more
Peter
splintered.
Jennings would come on and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, stay in your homes."
And people would listen. Well, 2020, I don't fucking anyone under 38 couldn't even point Peter Jennings out of the lineup. I don't even know if he still works. Or Brian
believe
Williams
he's the
or
late great Peter Jennings.
oh, R.I.P. That I just think that I give the White House a little credit for knowing they got a huge audience. They're talking to people under 30, and you can make a difference by just saying stay in your house. Because as we talked about yesterday, I actually looked out. I feel like quarantine's a little stronger today. Have you been out of the residence?
No, it hasn't even crossed my mind, and not even because of quarantine. It just
Yeah, where are you gonna go? What are you gonna do?
NFL free agency.
So I have a gut feeling. I haven't been out far beside to my car and the little gym. So it just I feel like people are quarantining. I feel like people are quarantining for whatever that means.
Yeah, I feel okay, John. I'm dreading having to go to the grocery store at some point in the coming weeks. That's gonna be when I snap probably.
You expecting quarantine to get lifted anytime soon or no?
No.
Same.
Somebody just said throw up Field Yates tweet. I don't know what tweet they're talking about. Uh, Taysom, we knew Taysom had a first round tender on him. I went back, John. Here's a moldy tweet for today. Again, moldy tweets exposed. They're not necessarily bad tweets, but I just thought I found an old free agency one. You want to see this one? I think you'll like this.
Let me see it.
March 31st, 2014. Somebody tweeted at you. Even if the gang stuff is totally BS, is it still enough for the Pats to avoid him? Now, this is in relation to, I don't know if you remember, Deshaun Jackson. The free agency, there was reports of Deshaun being connected to LA gangs. And so that was the big headline at the time. Whether or not the Patriots would be interested in him. Even if gang stuff is BS, is it enough for the Pats to avoid him? And Middlecoff said it's probably true, but Tom needs help. Now that I say that, I don't know that you were saying it was probably true that the LA gang connection was real. Just that, again, these are old tweets when there wasn't enough room, so I can't even figure that part out. But the point is this: you said at that time, while there were red flags about Deshaun Jackson, Tom needs him. Now, did Tom need him? I mean, they still won, as it turned out, but would have been
how many Super Bowls they win from 2014 on? 3?
Would have been a good gamble, John. Still,
Uh, probably true. I don't know what I was saying because I don't think Deshaun's a gang member.
no, I think you were just saying it's even if it's true, it's not enough to bail on him. I think is how that was worded.
Yeah, isn't it weird how tweets used to be with the quoting in front of the guy and
Yeah,
you
I know. We
responding?
talked
God,
about
weird shit. Remember when Chip Kelly thought he was a blood or a Crip and just cut him out of the blue, and then he went on to have like 4 more good seasons, just because thought he was in a gang? Like what? Chip.
Subscribe to the channel. This is where people in the video go like they like point like or there's a
Yeah,
box.
guy.
It's like
You need to start putting. They're called thumbnails,
I'll thumbnail it.
and you link other videos. In my 3 months of YouTubing, like 3 years ago, I learned how to do it. So like once we get like 5 or 6 videos up, you can thumbnail other videos. That's how you keep people just. It's like keeping people in the store. It's like they got a lane, and then you got the fruit, and then you got the candy, then you got the frozen goods, and you just going up and down the aisles. You just keep clicking, so you stay in someone's rabbit hole. We want you to stay in the rabbit hole of our 2 videos, and we just exponentially grow.
Yeah, we'll have some more. We'll have some more. We got some ideas. I guess in theory we would interact with the comments more, but we didn't do that today. Clowney's Market is Safeway usually. He's not getting paid what he wants to get paid, turns out.
I think he's a complicated one. Very talented, can have a big impact. He's not a great pass rusher, but he's powerful as fuck. And when he tries hard, he can just toss people. Like when Clowney tries hard, he can just be playing like Mike McGlinchey, and McGlinchey just gets tossed 10 yards. The problem is he gets hurt a little bit, and I think he views himself. I bet if you ask Clowney and his people, like, what do you ask for? Like Khalil Mack's money? I was drafted ahead of him. I mean, I dominate like he does. Like I play for playoff teams, and I kick ass and take names. There's never, when I try, he probably wouldn't throw that part in, but he's like, I'm never not one of the best players on the field when I step on the field. And he's not necessarily wrong. He's a complicated one.
Question for you. This is a little inappropriate. Which fan base do you predict? Because this is going to happen at some point in time, everybody. We're going to see on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or whatever. Somebody's going to get a customized COVID-19 jersey. There's going to be some bro walking around with a COVID-19 drinking a beer, maybe a 40. Which fan base do you predict it would be?
Well, the 119 that's
Loca life.
The 119 that stands out to my life is like Cowboy 19 jerseys have been a big jersey the last couple years.
Do that?
But guy, Amari Cooper's number is 19, so
yeah,
you
but
could
get
just
the customized jersey. You make it whatever you want.
Would you say putting tape over Amari's last name and putting COVID?
That could happen.
Does that count?
Could happen. I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable, but I know it's coming. Are you
But
confident that somebody's gonna do it? Are we gonna see it,
I would bet my life savings on
or
it,
am I
which is
just a sick
actually not
person?
very high right now because it's all in the tank. But yes, no, you're not sick.
Rich says someone from Florida. Yeah, that could be it.
I don't think Florida thinks the COVID exists.
So maybe they'd be the ones to make fun of it. All right, Middlecoff. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Stay safe.
We will have the podcast coming out as well in a little bit.
Yep.
Go get that. And please subscribe to the channel. More videos will be coming.
Cool.
Adios, pelota.
See ya.
Later.